Welcome to Paul's Passive House. So I'm back inside of this wall, and I'm paying some special attention to the loose fill insulation located in the attic. I've got a little access point here, and I know from experience that the further away I am from where the roof meets the wall, the easier it's going to be for me once I get inside to clean everything up. When I was removing all the loose fill from the main footprint of the house, just to remind you, this is the addition that I'm working on now, it took an awful lot of effort to be able to squeeze down in to where the roof met the wall. And I don't want to duplicate that discomfort. Now, since the last episode, you saw me cancel out this window. That's why you're looking at a window with two 2x4s installed in the middle of it. That's going to allow me plenty of space to add the exterior sheathing, which is going to be the R12 zip sheathing, and deal with the gap in the corner that has been perplexing me now for a few weeks. Some of you have been asking me how I plan to address the gutters and the transition from where the gutters are installed to the zip system. Right now I have some drawings. I think I have a prototype of the assembly, but I have to test it out, and you'll witness all of that. I'm going to make sure to record all of that along with the drawings. So one of the problems with this addition is that since it was built maybe 30 years ago, this end, this is the west end, has sunk. And the east end, which is the part of the addition that's attached to the main footprint of the house, has stayed relatively stable. So I've got some flooring issues and some concrete issues to handle where the two meet, where the addition meets the original footprint of the house. But I've also got some level and plumb issues here to deal with. Because this end has sunk, it is now not level. It's not plumb. As you can see here, I have a gap in this corner that I have to address separately. When I installed the zip system on the west side of the house, that's where the sun's shining now, I lined it up with the sheathing that was originally installed. Now, I've since removed that sheathing, which has left a 1/2-inch gap. This is further exacerbated by the fact that the new sheathing is 2.5 inches thick. That includes the zip system sheathing, the OSB, and the polyiso insulation that they laminate to the underside. To address this issue, I am installing a 1/2 inch of polyiso insulation to fill that small gap. You can see it fitting into place there. And then on top of that, I have some 2-inch zip system sheathing. And it just so happens that it works out perfectly to fill in the little gap with polyiso and then cover it with the 2-inch. In hindsight, it makes me very glad that I bought a couple of different kinds of zip system. I had 2.5 inch, I had 2-inch, I have 1-inch. Got a lot of different thicknesses to work with, and like I said, in hindsight, it turns out that was a benefit. At the time, I was just looking for the cheapest used zip sheathing I could find. But as it would turn out, because this is a retrofit, there's a lot of different gaps that need to be filled. As I dry fit this corner piece, you can see how nicely everything lines up. I did a pretty good job of filling the gaps, and now I'm going to secure this corner piece with some screws. In a future episode, you'll see me taping all these seams. To address this large seam on the corner, I'm going to use the zip stretch tape. Taking some final measurements, I just need to make sure that my new sheathing system is going to fit. If you've been following along, then you might be familiar with my 2-hammer system. Using 2 hammers to remove nails out of sheathing turned out to be incredibly efficient and a useful technique. I highly recommend it to those of you that have a project like this in your near future. Much better than using saws to cut off this sheathing. The 2-hammer technique keeps dust down, it's fast, it's efficient, and it works really well. Now, to those of you that are wondering, I'm actually reusing all of this fiberglass. This is good fiberglass, it's just not the correct insulation for the wall system that I designed. The wall system I designed requires mineral wool, so I'm replacing the fiberglass with mineral wool. But I'm going to be reusing this fiberglass in the attic. Here again, I'm taking special time to vacuum away all of the loose fill that's wedged between where the roof meets the wall. And I'm doing that because of how difficult it was to remove this from the attic. Now, removing this insulation by vacuuming it out is actually very expensive. Vacuum bags only last a few seconds, as you probably noticed, before they get full, and they're about $7 each, which is less than ideal. But at this time during the retrofit, I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to remove all of the loose fill that's located in the attic of this addition. So it was a better option for me to save my back and neck, potentially, in the future, to vacuum it out now. I'm slowing the video down a little bit here so that you could take a good look at that corner and see just how well that came together. Because this addition is sinking on one side, or it has sunk or settled, all of these zip system sheathing pieces have to be installed so that there's a slight gap in the bottom right-hand corner of the sheathing. That gap will later be filled with zip system liquid flashing, but it's more important to get these plumb than it is to have no gap at the bottom. I'm going to wrap up for today, and I'll be back out tomorrow to further install this sheathing.